The lights in the command tower dimmed as emergency protocols activated. Alarms were still echoing, and guards shouted over each other in panic. No one could understand how a prisoner, a human with no weapon, could escape and take down half a squad. But this wasn't just any prisoner. This was Captain Zara Cain. She was trained by Earth's elite Black Cell. She had survived wars, lost entire squads, and still kept moving. To the Zarkons, she looked like one fragile creature in chains, but the humans back on Earth knew the truth. If Zara was out of her cage, the Empire was in danger. Zara moved through the ship like a shadow. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She just walked. Calm. Quiet. Every footstep was measured. Every turn was planned. She had studied this class of warship during her capture, watched the guards, learned their patrol times, counted the seconds between door locks. She knew the route to the armory, the engine room, and even the command deck. But that's not where she was going. Not yet. First, she had to find something more important. Information. She needed to know where the Zarkons were taking her, why they had captured her alive, why they were so afraid of her. Because something didn't add up. The Empire had never kept a human alive this long. Usually they killed them quickly. So why was she special? Young Soldier Varn stared at the screen inside the emergency control room. He was the only one left, watching the feeds. His commander had gone silent. His squad. Most were unconscious, but Varn, he wasn't afraid anymore. He was fascinated. Zara had passed 3 camera points, and in each one, she had stopped and stared directly at the lens. It was like she knew he was watching. She was sending a message. Varn leaned in. "What are you trying to show me?" Then, in the next camera, she vanished. Zara dropped silently into the vent system. It was narrow, hot, and smelled of old metal, but it was faster than the main hallway. She crawled for 2 minutes before stopping above a small room. Data room 3. She looked down through the grating. One guard. Tired. Distracted. Zara dropped, silently behind him, and pressed 2 fingers to his neck. The man collapsed before he could even speak. She lowered him softly to the ground. Then she sat at the control desk. Zarkon tech wasn't easy, but humans had broken harder codes. She inserted a sharp metal pin she had stolen from the vent, now bent and shaped into a data probe. It sparked. Files opened, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Project Hydra target, Earth Command, primary subject, human Zara Cain. Status, test model captured, DNA sample stable, use, weapon development. They weren't keeping her alive for questioning. They were studying her, cloning her, testing her DNA, her strength, her speed, her instincts, all being used to build something called the Hydra unit. Zara whispered to herself, "They don't want to kill Earth. They want to become us." She downloaded the file to her neural chip and stood up. But the moment she turned around, a blade struck the wall beside her head. General Creel stood at the door. "You're fast," he said coldly. "Faster than I expected." Zara stared him down. "You shouldn't have touched my blood." Creel stepped forward. "We needed to know how your kind keeps winning. You're not stronger, not smarter. But still, every time humans find a way, we needed that answer." "You won't find it in my DNA," she said. "Oh, I think we already have." Creel smiled. "You are fearless." He threw another blade. Zara dodged left, caught the blade in midair, and tossed it back at his leg. Creel jumped back, injured. She ran. The alarms changed tone. The red lights turned orange. That meant one thing: ship-wide lockdown. All doors would seal in 60 seconds. No escape, no movement. A trap. But Zara didn't panic. She sprinted through the narrow hallway and leapt over a fallen cart. 30 seconds left. 2 doors. Then she saw it, a maintenance shaft at the end of the hall. Unlocked. She dove in, landing hard. The door slammed shut behind her. Breathing heavily in the dark, she closed her eyes. Her fists clenched. They had tried to steal her identity. Now she would steal everything from them. Back on the bridge, Creel pressed a bloody cloth to his leg and stared at the camera feed. "She's still alive," Varn said quietly. Creel didn't answer. "She had the files," Varn added. "She knows about Project Hydra. Creel's eyes narrowed. Then we have no choice. What do you mean? We release the prototype. Varn froze. You mean the thing we made from her DNA? Creel smiled. Yes. Let her face herself. But deep in the belly of the ship, Zara had already found her next destination. She knew where they kept experimental weapons, and she wasn't going to fight empty-handed anymore. She was ready to bring down the Empire, one corridor at a time. Zara stood in front of the heavy doors. They were thick and made of some strange black alloy she had never seen before. The hallway behind her was silent now. No alarms, no shouting guards. Just a cold, heavy silence. She placed her hand on the door scanner. It blinked red. Access denied. She reached into her belt and pulled out the data probe she had bent earlier. With one sharp push, she jammed it into the access port. Sparks flew. The scanner blinked, then turned green. The door slid open with a slow, deep groan. Inside, the air was colder. It felt like a tomb. Zara stepped inside. The room was dark, but the walls were lined with glowing glass tanks, each one filled with thick green liquid, and inside the tanks were copies of her. Dozens of them. Some half-formed, some sleeping, some with eyes wide open, staring, as if they were aware, but trapped. Some didn't even look human anymore. Their skin had changed. Their eyes were silver, their arms too long, their faces twisted like monsters. Zara walked between the tanks, her breath tight in her chest. "This is what they made from me," she whispered. "They weren't trying to copy me. They were trying to improve me." She stopped in front of the last tank. This one was bigger. The figure inside looked just like her. Same short black hair, same lean muscle, same cold expression, but the eyes were open, and they were glowing. Behind her, the doors slammed shut. Zara spun around, but it was too late. Gas hissed from the vents above. Not deadly, but something else. Something that made her limbs feel heavy, her thoughts slow. Then the voice came from the wall speakers. "General Creel." "You wanted to know what we made from your blood?" he said coldly. "Well, meet Zeta 1. The final tank hissed and opened. Zara stepped back as the clone stepped out. It moved perfectly. No hesitation, no weakness. It looked exactly like her, but colder. Stronger. It didn't speak. It just attacked. The first strike came fast. Zara blocked it, barely. The second hit knocked her into the wall. Her head spun. Zeta 1 didn't stop. It kicked, punched, moved like a machine. No anger, no emotion. Just purpose. Zara ducked under the next blow and rolled. She kicked over a metal cart and used it to block a punch that would have broken her ribs. She wasn't just fighting a clone. She was fighting a weapon designed to kill her. Zara breathed hard. "You're fast, but you're not me." Zeta 1 tilted her head. Then she spoke her first words. No fear, no failure, no mercy. Zara used her environment. She grabbed a broken pipe and slammed it into Zeta's side. It bent, but Zeta didn't even flinch. Zara was getting tired. Zeta wasn't. She wasn't human. She didn't sweat. She didn't breathe. She just kept moving forward. Zara's shoulder was bleeding now. Her legs ached, but deep in her chest, something stronger burned. Not fear, not anger. Will. Zara had lost everything before. Friends, units, entire battles. But she had never lost her will, and that was something you couldn't clone. She waited, watched, studied. Then she saw it. Zeta's left leg, slightly slower. A joint that bent too tight. An error. Zara smiled. "Got you." She charged, faked left, slid low, and then she struck hard at Zeta's weak leg. The clone stumbled. Zara grabbed a metal rod and jammed it into the side of the tank behind them. Sparks flew. She swung the sparking rod like a club and hit Zeta in the chest. Electricity shot through. The clone. Zeta screamed, a high, broken sound. Not human, not machine, something in between. She collapsed. Zara stood over her, breathing hard. "You're not me," She turned and limped toward the exit, her body shaking, bleeding, but her mind sharp. "I'm not a clone," she said. "I'm the storm they can't control." Up in the control room, General Creel slammed his fist into the console. "She beat it," Varn whispered. "Zeta-1 is down." Creel growled. "Then we use the next phase." Varn turned. "What phase?" Creel didn't answer. Instead, a new door opened in the clone lab behind Zara. Heavy metal footsteps echoed. Something was coming. Not a clone. Not a soldier. A fusion. Zara heard the steps and turned slowly. Her muscles screamed, but she forced herself to stand tall. In the doorway stood something massive, 8 feet tall, with black armor. Human and Zarkon parts mixed together. Its face half human, half machine. Its voice was deep and unnatural. "Target, Zara Cain. Mission, terminate." Zara narrowed her eyes. "Then come try." Zara stood still, her eyes locked on the towering fusion soldier in front of her. It was massive, part Zarkon beast, part advanced human tech. Thick armor covered its chest and arms, glowing red lines pulsing with energy. Its face was half covered, in a metal plate with one glowing red eye staring coldly at her. She could feel the ground tremble as it stepped closer. Her body was broken, bruised. She had no weapons. Her hands hung at her sides, blood dripping slowly from her fingertips. But her eyes burned with fire. "I'm not done yet," she whispered. The fusion beast lunged. Zara moved, barely. It slammed into the wall behind her, breaking stone and metal like paper. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the air. Zara rolled under a broken pipe, grabbing a loose wire. She flicked it at the beast's leg. Electricity snapped, but the fusion didn't stop. It turned and punched through a metal crate to reach her. She ducked and kicked upward, straight into the weak spot in its leg joint. It staggered, just a little. Enough. Zara grabbed a steel rod and jammed it into the glowing seam along its hip. A burst of light shot out, and the fusion screamed. Not a full scream. A broken mechanical sound, half monster and half man. It hurt. That was a start. In the control room above, General Creel watched in silence. "She's still fighting," said Varn. "She has nothing left. No weapon, no backup, and she's still not giving up." Creel didn't answer. His face was tense. His hand hovered over the final control switch. "The fusion must win," he said. "It's our last chance to kill her. She cannot survive this." But even he was starting to realize Zara wasn't normal. She wasn't just trained. She was born for war. The fusion charged again, fists blazing with red energy. Zara jumped to the side, barely missing a crushing blow. She grabbed a loose metal plate and used it as a shield. It cracked in half after one hit, but it gave her time to move again. She ran, straight toward the backup power core on the far wall. If she could reach it, she had one last idea. One insane, desperate idea. The fusion roared and followed. It leaped across the lab like a beast, slamming down where Zara had been just seconds before. She dove for the power core and pulled open the panel. Inside were dozens of energy coils, sparking, unstable. She yanked 2 of them out. The room went darker, but the rods in her hands glowed with pure energy. Her arms shook. The heat burned. Her palms. Still, she turned to face the monster again. It charged, and Zara charged back. They collided like 2 meteors. Zara slammed the rods into the fusion's chest, screaming as the energy exploded outward. The blast knocked them both back. The walls cracked, lights shattered. Fire bloomed across the lab. Zara flew through the air and hit the floor hard. She didn't move. Smoke filled the air. Alarms screamed. The fusion lay motionless in the center of the room. Its chest armor was split wide open. Its power core flickered, then went dark. In the silence that followed, Zara coughed and slowly sat up. Her body felt like stone. Her hands were burned. Her vision was blurred. But she was alive, and the monster was dead. Up in the control room, Creel stared in disbelief. Varn turned to him. "She did it," he said. "She survived everything." Creel growled. "She can't leave. She knows too much. Send the failsafe, collapse the entire facility, bury her under a mountain if we have to. But Zara was already on the move. She grabbed a comm unit from the dead fusion and hacked into the base's systems. With shaking fingers, she opened every blast door, released every prisoner, and sent out a single broadcast signal to every human outpost in the sector. This is Zara Cain. The enemy made a monster out of me. I became something they couldn't control. But I'm still human, and I'm coming home. As explosions rocked the base, Zara limped toward the main hangar. Fighters and ships lined the bay. She picked the fastest one, an old Earth-made stealth ship, and climbed inside. Behind her, the lab began to collapse. Flames and smoke filled the halls. Metal screamed as it bent and broke. Zara didn't look back. She hit the thrusters and vanished into space. General Creel screamed in rage as the screen went dark. Find her. She can't be allowed to. The base trembled. Then the ceiling cracked. Then it all collapsed. Out in the stars, Zara sat in silence. Her hands trembled. Her body was broken, but her eyes were calm. She wasn't just a survivor. She was the weapon they tried to bury. And now, the galaxy would remember her name. Zara Cain. The human weapon they could never control. The warship floated above the dead planet like a silent shadow. Its black metal skin reflected no light. Inside, cold air moved through long halls. Alien boots echoed as soldiers walked. The Zarkon Empire had captured a human. Not just any human. Captain. Zara. Two guards pushed Zara through the metal hallway. Her hands were chained behind her back. Her face was calm, her eyes cold. She didn't speak. She didn't fight. The guards whispered in their alien language, confused by her silence. They took her weapons, her plasma blade, her armor, her wrist, tech, everything. They thought she was harmless now, but she just stared forward, walking without fear. Stop acting strong, one guard said in broken English. You are prisoner now. No weapon. No hope. Zara said nothing. She blinked slowly, then looked at the guard's face. For a second, he looked away, like her eyes saw something he didn't want to show. They reached the prison wing. Big, cold, metal doors opened. The cell was small, with thick black walls, no windows, just one red light in the ceiling. General Creel stood there, smiling with sharp teeth. He was tall, his skin dark purple, and his eyes glowed yellow. So this is the great human warrior, Creel said. You don't look so dangerous now. Zara didn't answer. Her silence made Creel frown. We took your weapons, he said louder. Now you are just a weak creature. You lost. Zara tilted her head. Then why are you afraid of me? Creel's smile faded. He gave an order. Throw her in the cell. The guards shoved her in. The door closed with a loud clang. Inside, she stood in the darkness. No bed, no chair, just her in the silence. The red light flickered. Zara sat down on the floor. She closed her eyes. She began to breathe slowly. In, out, in, out. She was not afraid, not even a little. Outside the cell, a young Zarkon soldier named Varn watched the security screen. He saw Zara sitting still, eyes closed, like she was meditating. The other prisoners always screamed, cried, begged, but not her. She's different, Varn whispered. Creel passed behind him. Don't be fooled, she's just pretending. A human without a weapon is nothing. But sir, her heart rate is calm. She's not scared at all. Creel laughed. She's broken, that's all. She gave up. Varn wasn't sure. He leaned closer to the screen. Then something strange happened. Zara opened her eyes and looked straight at the camera, right into his eyes. Varn jumped back. Did you see that? He said. Creel rolled his eyes. You're just a boy, scared of a prisoner. Grow up. But inside, Creel felt a small chill. Just for a second. Hours passed. Zara stayed quiet. She counted every step of the guards outside. She listened to the ship's hum. She felt the tiny changes in air pressure. She remembered the layout from when they brought her in. She was building a map in her head. She didn't need a weapon. She was a weapon. Later that night, Varn brought food. He opened the small hatch in the door and slid in a tray. Zara didn't touch it. She just looked at him. You should eat, Varn said. She said nothing. Then softly she asked, "What's your name?" "V. Varn," he said. She smiled. "You're not like the others." Varn blinked. I'm just a soldier." "No," Zara said. "You're still human inside, even if your skin changed." Varn backed away. "I'm not human. I was born Zara Cain." "You weren't born afraid," Zara said. "But now you are." He left without another word. Later, as the ship moved into orbit, a small flicker passed through the lights. The red light in Zara's cell blinked twice, then stayed on. Zara opened her eyes. "1 second," she whispered. "Now I know the power cycle." She stood up slowly. She began tapping her foot on the floor. A rhythm. Quiet. Controlled. Then she used her fingers to draw shapes in the dust. Circles. Lines. Symbols. A message. Outside, no one noticed. Inside, everything had changed. Back in the control room, Varn checked the camera again. She was smiling. For the first time since they captured her. She smiled, and suddenly Varn felt afraid. He didn't know why. But he knew something was coming, something bad. He rushed to General Creel. "Sir, I think she's planning something." Creel frowned. "She's locked in a box with no tools." "What could she do?" Varn whispered. "That's what scares me." Red warning lights flashed across the hallway. Guards ran from door to door, confused, weapons ready. Something wasn't right. The prisoner, Captain Zara, was still inside her cell, but something had changed. It started just after the midnight cycle. The ship's power dropped for exactly 2 seconds. It was nothing unusual, just a minor reactor pulse, the kind that happened often. But this time, Zara counted it. She smiled when the flicker came, and the red light in her cell blinked twice. Then, silence. She stood and placed her ear to the wall. She listened to the hum of wires, the footfalls of the guards, the hiss of nearby oxygen vents. She whispered every sound to herself. And then, she began to move. At that moment, Varn, the young Zara Cain soldier, was still awake, sitting alone in the monitoring station. He watched the cameras. Zara hadn't touched her food. She hadn't spoken again. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Very wrong. The screen flickered. Then it went black for exactly 3 seconds. Varn sat up straight. No, not now. The video returned. But Zara was no longer sitting. She was standing at the wall, her head turned toward the camera, her eyes locked on his. Again. She moved her fingers against the wall slowly. 3 taps, then 1, then 5. A strange rhythm. It wasn't random, it was a pattern. Varn backed away from the screen. His heart beat faster. It felt like she was trying to talk to him, or send a signal. He ran down the hall toward General Creel's command room. Inside the cell, Zara continued the rhythm. Tap, 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 pause, tap, 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 tap. Her breathing was calm. Her eyes didn't blink. She had been training for moments like this for years. No tools, no weapons. Just instinct, memory, and the human mind. The walls were thick, but not perfect. Every ship had hidden weaknesses, vibration spots, loose screws, areas where heat expanded metal. Faster, Zara had found one, a small vent near the floor, used for temperature control. Too small for anyone to escape through, unless they had the knowledge to dismantle it with only their hands. Zara did. She knelt down and pulled at the tiny edges of the vent with her fingers. Her nails bled, but she didn't stop. One edge snapped. Loose. Varn reached General Creel's quarters. "She's doing something inside the cell," Varn said quickly. "The power flicker earlier. She's using it. I saw her tap a message." Creel didn't even look up. "You're overthinking. She has no tools, no help. She's caged like an animal." "She's not an animal," Varn whispered. "She's something else." Creel narrowed his eyes. "Careful, boy, that's treasonous talk." "But what if she's not trying to escape?" Varn said. "What if she wants us to think that? and she's planning something worse. Meanwhile, Zara removed the vent cover and placed it softly on the floor. Inside the tunnel was darkness, but she knew what she was looking for. An exposed wire junction, where all the cell locks connected. Every 5 hours, the autocycle updated its system. She had 15 minutes. Zara reached in and felt for the wires. Blue, red, green. The Zarkon Empire used different colors, but she remembered the order from past missions. She had seen the same system once before, years ago, when she broke out of a training simulation. This time, it was real. She twisted 2 wires together, then paused, waited. The red light in her cell flickered again. She smiled. Then she connected the 3rd wire. Outside, an alarm sounded. Alert. Cell block. Malfunction. Security, reset required. Guards ran in all directions. One guard opened Zara's cell door remotely to check on her. The door slid open. The room was empty. "She's gone!" the guard shouted. Another said, "She has no weapons! Where could she go?" Just then, a loud bang echoed through the hall. A Zarkon soldier flew across the hallway and hit the wall, unconscious. Behind him stood Zara, her chains now wrapped around her fists like a weapon. The other guards froze. Zara looked at them with cold eyes. "You took my weapon," she said. "But you forgot what I am." They raised their blasters. She was already moving. She leapt at the first guard, slammed him into the wall, grabbed his arm, twisted it until his weapon dropped, then kicked the other one in the chest. Within seconds, 3 Zarkon soldiers lay on the floor, groaning. Zara didn't kill them. Not yet. Varn reached the cell block and found the open door. "No, no, no," he said under his breath. He turned the corner and saw her. Zara. She was standing alone in the red lights, the bodies of unconscious guards around her. Her chest rose and fell with calm breath. Her fists were red with blood, but her face was peaceful. "Why didn't you kill them?" Varn asked, frozen in fear. She turned to him slowly. "Because I want your general to see what happens when you try to cage a human." Then she walked away, silent, deadly, unstoppable. Creel received the emergency call moments later. "She's free," his officer said. "She's not using weapons. She's using her hands." Creel's voice dropped to a whisper. "Seal the bridge. Shut everything down." But it was already too late. Zara had disappeared into the warship's shadows, and the real fear had only just begun.